Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Good morning and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to season 4 and episode number, I've got to go down and look in the show notes, 604 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. 100% Canadian. If you're listening on the podcast version, we had a little interesting tech issue today that now that we figured it out is giving us a wee bit of the giggles. So, but you had to be here for it. So that's why you need to watch live with the damn fam if you can. Oh, okay. Well, today, recording day is Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. I hope that the St. Paddy's Day's hangovers are not too painful for those of you who happen to have a day off today. Maybe some of you have planned. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A. And with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly, and especially Audible, which is a good thing. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.com. We have a show for you today, kids and cubs, because some things happened. But before we do that, Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health today, sir?
I don't know. Honestly, I'm not fully awake. I fell asleep on the couch last night watching TV quite early. Crawled to bed at 12:30 because I was asleep like this on the couch, sitting up. So I crawled into bed, and what do you know? I woke up when the alarm went off, and I was like, "Didn't I just get here? I just got here." So yeah, it was a rough night's sleep. So yeah, I'm not great this morning. Hopefully the coffee and the conversation will help. Time will tell, but we do what we can.
All right. Well, hopefully it will, because even though there will be a little bit of news that will make us go, there's some really good news.
We're gonna talk about Rosie Barton.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Rosie Barton. I mean, how can we not?
That was.
She committed the cardinal sin of journalism. She made herself the story.
Yeah, she did. She really did.
No. All right.
It was brutal.
Oh, it was brutal in more ways than one. But we will get to her. Don't worry about that. Mr. Did I ask you how your mental health was doing today?
Yeah.
Okay. Mine, as you can tell, is great because yesterday, we're getting to the end of the curling season. So in one of our leagues, playoffs have started. And we had our first match yesterday. This particular playoff is interesting because they put us in pools of 4 and we're doing a round robin of each other, I guess, before the next phase.
Round robin? It's when you get into a
I was going to say round robining. and it didn't come out right. But we're doing a round robin. So I don't know if it's just us for the division and that's where we end, or the people that win the round robins keep going after that. But yesterday in our pool, we soundly defeated 12-1 a team that beat us in the round quite handily. So we were firing on all cylinders. So again, yesterday, I was a stud on the curling rink. Boom. So I'm feeling good. First playoff match of the season, first win. Gotta love it. And as well, get some Cubs. There's another little bit of news that happened because Mr. Beaver today gets to take a victory lap. There you go. That was me running around the track, so you can still see me. Because if you remember, about 10 weeks ago, I shared with you my 3 polling milestones. I'm very, very excited. I cannot trip over my tongue fast enough here. There were 3 polling milestones that I said. The first one would be when the Conservatives slip out of majority territory into minority territory, because, that's the end. Because over the last 10 years, the Conservatives never thought that it was a good idea to make friends along the way. And they never thought it was important to be just decent somewhere along the way. So nobody wants to work with them. Shocker. Nobody even wants to be in the same room as them, really. Shocker. This particular brand of Conservatives, and I mean the politicians, not the people.
Correct. We need to stress that because, again, a lot of the Conservative supporters have been hoodwinked and had the wool pulled over their eyes into that they think it's still a Conservative party. It is not a Conservative Party of Canada. It's not.
Capital C.
Yeah.
Conservatives as the party. Not conservative people who are our friends and neighbors and who we love.
Correct. Conservative
politicians. So they've been ornery. They've been nasty. They've been uncooperative. They've been very defamatory. And nobody wants to work with them. They have no partners. So they have no coalition partners. So minority parliament means they do not get to govern unless somebody does something really wild. So that was the first one. The second one was going to be if the Liberal line and the Conservative line intersected, right? And there's 2 ways it could intersect. It can intersect in the seat count and it could intersect in the overall top line number. Of course, we care about seat count. So that was the second milestone. And the third milestone would be if the Liberals enter majority territory. Last week, I predicted, when we had the show where we said polls in Main Street and Abacus and everybody Nanos had a narrowing of the polls, and Ecos said that probably on Sunday when the 338 Canada polling aggregator numbers would come out, that there would be a little surprise for us, and that we would see that the Liberals have overtaken the Conservatives. I called it. And Kits and Cubs, I am pleased, very, very, very pleased to report it has happened.
In a big way.
In a big way. We've got to take that one with a grain of salt. Momentum-wise, it's in a big way. The margin isn't huge yet, but it has happened. In fact, the margin is 1. So it's not a huge thing, but it is a thing, and it is a lead. And there's other data here that I have for you, Kits and Cubs, that gets the impression that it's not about to stop soon. Now, Mr. Grizzly, I'm going to send you a link to the page from 338 so you can put it up and show the kits what has happened. I've been following this now. This has been a 10-week slide.
Mm-hmm.
It's been happening, and I've been bringing this to you pretty much every week here. So 10 weeks ago, if we're doing the countdown, kits and cubs. The Conservatives were projected, according to 338, to win 201 seats, which is a huge amount. Other polling predictors were predicting even more. I think some had predicted all the way up to as high as 236, if I'm remembering correctly. No, sorry, this one was projecting 236, and the difference between them was 201 seats.
Mm-hmm.
And as you can see there, if you scroll lower, Mr. Grizzly, till you get to the graphs, the dotted graphs.
Oh, so
sorry, there we go. So this is the popular vote, the top line number, and it's showing, as you can see, you see the hockey stick for the Liberals going way up. The Liberals are at 35, the Conservatives at 38. Now, there's a thing I always tell you when you're looking at the top line number, kits and cubs. It's a little deceiving because with the top line number, you always have to subtract 3 or 4 from the Conservative number to compensate for the overabundance of Conservative vote in Manitoba, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and the interior of British Columbia. Now, the second graph that Mr. Grizzly was showing you, this down there, that is the seat projection. And you see that there's some like weird purple there because the blue writing is over on top of the red writing, but the blue writing says CPC 149 and the red writing says 150. LPC 150.
Yeah.
So now the most seats, and as we can see, the odds of winning the most seats percentage-wise, Liberals 55%, Conservatives 44%. Now,
talk about a precipitous drop, though. It's like, holy shit.
Yes. And then I relate this, and then the odds of the election outcome, it's now 41% that it will be a Liberal plurality.
So we can go from 2021 to 2025.
Yeah. And a 14%.
2024.
Yeah. And a 14% chance that it would be a Liberal majority.
Yeah.
And for the Conservatives, a 31% chance it would be a Conservative plurality and a 13% chance that would be a Conservative majority. But if you look just a couple of reporting periods ago all the way up, it was a 100% chance of a Conservative majority. Yeah. And it has been an over 90% of a Conservative majority since January 2024.
Well, this was, what's this date? February 2nd.
Yep.
They had a majority by a large margin, right? February 2nd. Yep. And now.
1 month and 18 days later.
Yeah.
It has been a precipitous drop, which
and the only thing that was required was for the PM to step down.
Yeah.
So it, more than anything else, it tells me it was leader fatigue and not hate for the party or the politics or the policies.
Nope. Right.
It was simply leader fatigue, and leader fatigue brought on by reporters like Rosemary Barton not doing their job, allowing other politicians to get away with lies and let them spread those lies and untruths about the then prime minister and never answer to it. Mm-hmm. And we've had years of that.
And what did Pierre say yesterday about people who don't do their jobs?
I missed it. What did he say? I didn't. I tried to
the
watch
day before yesterday. Sorry, not yesterday. The day before yesterday, because we presented
a press conference yesterday. He has a press conference every day now, I think.
Yes, Mr. I'm going to go hide for a Scaramucci.
Mm-hmm.
Now can't get in front of the cameras often enough.
Yeah, no kidding.
Imagine that. Yeah. I wonder what changed, Pierre. Pierre, I meant what we showed on the show yesterday. Pierre had this big thing that when people don't do their jobs, they should be fired, in which we wondered aloud, then why didn't he fire himself or just resign in shame? Because he hasn't been doing the job of a leader of opposition or a constituency MP for the last while.
3 years, I'd say, by my count.
And overall, and I got into this debate online. People say, well, the people in Israel keep on voting, so you must be doing something right. Yeah, I understand that. But my point is, according to his own metric, not according to what people's vote, according to what he set out was the standard, judge his performance on it. One piece of legislation, because, an MP's job is to represent your constituents. Yeah, that's one thing, but that's not all of an MP's job. An MP is a legislator. We have a legislator in Pierre Poilièvre, who does not legislate. He's literally not doing his job. One piece of legislation passed successfully in 20
almost
years.
21 years. Over 20 years, yeah.
Isn't he the guy that went on CFRA one morning when the Indigenous people of Canada were getting an apology and mentioned something about them just needing to learn about a work ethic, suggesting that it should be the white man that teaches them what that means? One piece of legislation passed in 20 years. That's a rather low output.
Well, remember, I've said this before on this program, and I'll say it once again. He is the exact same guy today that he was 30 years ago in high school. He has not grown one bit, not an iota. I know this because I know people who went to high school with him. He's the same smug, smarmy, know-it-all narcissist he's always been. Look, I get there's a certain amount of narcissism to enter politics. There has to be. A certain amount, right?
There has to be a certain amount to do what we do.
Yes. But this guy's a raging narcissist. A raging narcissist. He always has to be the center of attention. It's like, I don't. He's been like that since he was in high school. Again, I know friends. I have friends who went to high school with him. I have friends who went to university with him for a limited time because he left. He's been the same smarmy, smug narcissist since he was a teenager. This is not a person you should put in charge of a country. This is not a person that should be elevated to the status of party leader, let alone prime minister. This man couldn't lead a one-car parade. They call him Mini Trump in the press because that's who he is. He mimics, he intimates. What's the word I'm looking for here? Imitates?
Imitates,
That's the word I was looking for. He mimics, he imitates, he parrots. He parrots nonstop. Everything is broken. He's Mini Trump. And when The Guardian, the Times of London writes this, the Sunday Times writes an article saying Mark Carney must defeat Mini Trump, when other parts of the world see him for who he is. Canadians, I think Canadians have seen him for who he is for quite some time, to be honest with you. I think Canadians were just, like I said, leader fatigue. Leader fatigue is all it was, because clearly they don't hate the party and they don't hate the policies. And millions of Canadians have cheered on the dental program because millions of Canadians have gone to see a dentist for the first time in 20 or 30 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because they couldn't afford it before.
Indeed. So he's spinning his wheels a bit, right? We've been saying, like, he's just not able to pivot. And a bit like Jagmeet Singh, when he figures out he has to do it, it's always like 3 or 4 weeks after it was needed to be done. So it doesn't really ring true. So 11 reporting periods ago, the CPC seat lead was 201. 10 ago, it was 200. 9 ago, it was 197. 8 ago, it was 191. Then the drop really started to happen. 7 ago, it was 157. 6 ago, 121. 5 ago, 91. 3 ago, 57. 2 ago, 39. Last week, it was 13. This week, 1 in favor of Liberals. So -1 for them.
Wow.
11 weeks. Regardless of whether he is doing his job or not, as a constituency MP, as a candidate, that type of performance should get your ass canned.
Yes.
But he's the best they've got, so they got to stick with him. There's nothing on that bench.
I'm just reading something here. It just came across my feed. This is from 6:40 a.m., but it just came across my feed now. The real estate industry just had its biggest decline in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
How soon before Pierre Poilièvre blames the government because we can no longer get asking for our little shacks? Well, that's so good. I like that. That's a good one.
I have to tap down the evil laugh that just pops up. I'm just...
I get it.
Sorry. So, as increasingly silly and rather weak, repeated and repetitive Conservative Party of Canada attempts to sully Mark Carney's name and reputation fall flat. Pierre Poilièvre is quickly fading into irrelevant background noise. You can expect the level of panic within the Conservative camp to increase, the comments and the attacks to get increasingly shrill and strident. You might also start seeing attacks and positioning which signals the party knows it is going to lose and that Pierre's political career is over. Internally, you might see people start to freelance. One of those signs is Jason Kenney rising from the political dead, putting out feelers to see if it's time to crawl out from under his rock. It's not, Jason. Stay gone. It's still not your moment, honey. There's one more potential milestone coming, of course, and if it is hit, it could lead to all-out civil war out in public within the Canadian Conservative movement, and that is if the Liberals cross that magical line into majority territory. And I'm looking again, and let's see, 150, and that majority line is 172, so that's just 22 more seats.
Mm-hmm.
Only 22 more seats in order to achieve that, kids and cubs. When Liberals have been gaining over the past few weeks 34 seats, then 35, then 30, then 34, then 18, then 26, then 14. There's not a lot more seats to get, so it might take a couple of weeks, might not all be done in one shot. But kind of looks like it's still going there. And when we're talking about that, it looks like it's still going there. Yesterday, it was almost the coup de grace, if you could say, because there were two polling companies, right? The first one was Abacus. That seemed to be, Abacus had become the ecos on the other side of the ledger, still saying that the Conservatives had a chance. And their polling data went from a Conservative lead of plus 12 on February 23rd to a Conservative lead of plus 4 on March 11th. So that was a big closing of the gap. The other one that we always look at, not necessarily for the quality of the data and stuff like that, but for what it means, is the Angus Reid Institute, because it is perceived as leaning very favorably towards Conservatives. The Angus Reid issued something yesterday. Bloc Québécois, 8. Greens, 2. NDP, 9. 9. Under 10. No wonder Jagmeet Singh all of a sudden wants to cooperate on passing a bill with Parliament reopening. Again, Jagmeet Singh, you should have said that 4 weeks ago when you were asked the first time if you really believed in it. Conservatives, 37. Liberals, 42. Angus Reid has Liberals with a plus 5. Angus Reid is the polling company that has the Liberals with the largest lead to date. Angus Reid.
Wow.
Let that sink in for a second.
A rather duplicitous individual who is clearly a right-wing talking head, as evidenced by his behavior over the last, I don't know, couple of years, I guess.
And remember Sachi Curl when she moderated that debate last time around? Handing everything to Yves-François Blanchet? In order to kind of trip up Trudeau? So yeah, I mean, this is a polling company that has not been shy about its bias. It's yeah, I'm whew. So Léger also came out with some numbers still showing Liberal lead plus 3. Its last polling showed them tied. So a 3-point gain with Léger, Angus Reid showing him in the lead. Yeah. those numbers for the Liberals, at least for the next Sunday, are going to keep rising. With that type of, especially with those Angus Reid numbers, I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, I'm looking in here, trying to see the last time that Angus Reid put out some numbers, and it has been a long time, because a lot of these companies, there we go, they haven't put out numbers since December 29th, 2024. You know what they were showing then? They were showing PPC 3, Bloc 8, Greens 5, NDP 16. So the NDPs have gone down 7 since then. Conservatives 40. Sorry, I read the wrong line. Sorry. Let me make sure I get the right line again. Sorry. PPC 1, Bloc 11, Greens 3, NDP 21. So it's a 12-point decline. Conservatives 45, Liberals 16.
Wow.
They were the polling company throughout this whole thing that showed the Liberals at the lowest number of anyone. The lowest number I've seen elsewhere is 19. But they had 3 even below that. So Angus Reid showed way heavy when the things were at its worst. They were showing a 26-point lead for the Conservatives over the Liberals. And now they're showing a 5-point lead. That's a 31-point swing since December 29th.
It's crazy. That's got to be a record for a drop off in polling in this country. I've never seen anything like it.
I'm watching news, and now they're starting to talk about that, and nobody can recall. They're saying, like, have you seen that? Everybody's going, no, we've never seen anything like this ever.
Well, it's a testament to how
uncharismatic,
smarmy, smug, narcissist, how he has no policy. He has slogans. That's it. And then he just accused Mark Carney of being a sloganeering politician. And I'm like, oh my God, have you ever looked in the mirror? Do you even see yourself? Like, you
need to give yourself a sniff, boy.
Unbelievable. I don't even have the words. They
literally say anything. And that's what it's going to be now, because now it's full panic. Right?
I heard a dad joke yesterday.
Oh, I love dad jokes.
I guess, is it a dad joke? Maybe it's a mom joke, but it was like, why do girls like odd numbers? Because they can't even. You've heard, I can't even. That's why girls like odd numbers. I don't know if it's a dad joke. Maybe that's a mom joke. Either way.
I love it.
I thought it was kind of funny. Why do girls like odd numbers? Because I can't even.
Right. Oh my God. Okay. So
I suppose that applies to boys too. I don't know, but it's usually,
I guess
it's a girl's thing that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
Was it Kylie Jenner? One of the Kardashians or somebody? I don't even know.
I don't even know. Yeah.
Look, in my almost 57 years in this planet, I've never watched one split second of the Kardashians.
I must confess, I watched 2 episodes.
No, I haven't watched a second of it.
The 2 episodes I watched were the ones where Bruce Jenner was kind of admitting.
Oh, okay. Caitlyn.
Admitting to his family. Like that one, I wanted to see how that was going to go. Like, because this is that is a show about how. So I was wondering how a show like that would handle a subject like that. I have to say they did pretty good, actually.
I
have to say, but that's the extent of it I watched.
And I don't know if did they split?
I think so. I don't know. I don't care enough to know.
I don't give a shit. Caitlyn Jenner.
That makes me sound awful, but I just don't care enough to know.
Well, what I don't understand, Caitlyn Jenner, this trans deity, almost, if you will, had been venerated and looked up to, brave.
Well, I mean, and we do have to give some credit, though.
Oh, yeah, I'm not taking any credit away, but
in terms of the visibility and the change and whatnot, and putting it on the public map and whatnot, and then turn around and then you did that with it. Why?
You support Trump. You support Trump. Like, this man just denied your existence.
Trump made
during
it law
his inauguration speech.
Yes, Trump made it law that they need to call you Bruce again.
Yeah. So really? Apparently, the founder or the author of Project 2025 is absolutely delighted because things are going beyond his wildest dreams and how it's progressing.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
I know. So, things are not going well for Pierre. And yesterday, he had another speechy thing, which I can tell you about the speechy part. Didn't get to the Q&A yet. Somebody said I needed to look at it because, so I can't tell you what happened in the Q&A. I'm sure it probably wasn't great, as usual. But the speechy thing, part of it, you could tell, man. You could tell. And here's the thing. Today, I'm not even gonna, well, yeah, there's one little, I was gonna say, I'm not even gonna show you something. That's it. But there is one thing I need you to see because it would seem his family came to the event. Put a pin on that. Family in Skippy air quotes. Pierre showed up someplace in Orignal, Ontario. And, he likes to be in a plant with workers that have hard hats and vests and stuff like that because, the guy with the softest hands in Canada likes to pretend that, yes. So the man with the softest hands in Canada likes to pretend that, he's one of you. Those of you who wake up before the sun comes up and need to take a shower when you get home, right? All you people pull lightning out of the sky.
Now let's again, I'm going to say it one more time so that we want people to understand. We do not question the hours that he puts in.
Oh, yeah.
He puts in insane hours. He does.
Oh, yes.
Insane hours doing terrible things, but he puts in the time. He does.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
He gets up before I do. I guarantee you that.
He sets his alarm at 3 o'clock in the morning to ring so he just can find 5 seconds to hate Trudeau, make sure he fits it in the day, then goes back to bed.
Well,
okay. No, I mean,
I don't think that's far-fetched.
It's obsessive. It's obsessive. So if you watch this, and I'm not going to show that part to you, Pierre tries to human when he's talking. Like they're all behind him and says, I know you're scared, and he tries to human. It doesn't work. He tries to tough with Trump. Canada will never be the 51st state. It doesn't work at all. Then Canada's abusive boyfriend makes sure that he takes time to tell you how you're shit and nobody wants you. And then slogan boy becomes prop boy again, holding up the bill for the carbon pricing thing that he says the law's not repealed, but won't lift a finger to actually repeal before we go into the election, even though Mark Carney changed the actual fee to zero in an order in council. And now he's also back to saying that the carbon tax will triple, go up by 300%, but he was saying quadruple for the last 6 months. It was triple first, triple, then it was quadruple, now he's back to triple. He can't keep his numbers straight. And then once again, he talks about technology, not taxes, which is a slogan, which we have told you on the show, basically comes down to getting down on their knees at night and praying to whichever God they do, because it's not the one they say it is. And saying, please, 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 put a really, really smart person who we hate. Someone who's an expert in science, which we hate, to find some technological solution to this climate thing so we don't have to make any damn effort. And then Canadians hope and pray that if we're in power when it happens, that we'll actually recognize it as valid science, which we never do, and that we will actually take government money and put it behind it in order to deploy it, which we won't, because it's going to be in direct competition with the oil industry, and they fund us. It's never going to happen. Ever. We're still waiting for carbon capture and storage to happen, and Harper promised us that in 2006, 8, somewhere. Put all your eggs in that basket, just like Pierre said, put all your eggs in crypto. And we could just do whatever we keep on doing without changing a damn thing. Technology will say this. That's not a plan. Hoping for a smart person somewhere in the world to invent something one day that will just change everything without any effort from us is not a plan.
No.
Not a plan. Then he came out with his newest slogan, carrot, not stick. And then Pierre announced his latest plan, because there is nothing, no problem in the world that a conservative cannot solve with a tax cut.
Oh, I thought it was going to be a verb, the noun.
A slogan and a tax cut now.
Right.
We get 2 for 1. We get a twofer.
We get a twofer.
Okay. Gee, I'm pitchy today. So, Mr. Grizzly, I'm going to send you a little something here. And this is Pierre at this place. And trust me, kits and cubs, I know we see a lot of him, but I will be merciful in that it is only going to be about 1 minute and 40 seconds. Okay, so don't run away.
What's the start point?
Let's go to 1504.
Ready? Just a second.
Or maybe sorry, no, sorry. Oh, okay, I lied to you, kids. Make it 12:36 because I think he makes the announcement in the first part. Yeah, so sorry, I lied to you, kids and cubs. I apologize. Queen Beaver lied. It's going to be 4 minutes, but you have to see this. You absolutely have to see this. Don't tune out the volume because of his annoying sound. You have to see this because this one matters.
All righty. Well, let's suffer. Here we go. I just... All right.
Office. Furthermore, they brought in a carbon tax in this law. This law is still in place, even though Mr. Carney has signed a fake executive order to hide the tax for 35 or 40 days leading up to the...
We don't have executive orders.
Executive order. Again. So you have to... I remember the first question that was asked, because I got the first question, was about him, saying he's going to protect Canada, but what about cultural stuff? The cultural identity of Canada and that type of stuff. And then, he's just going to go into statues and John A. Macdonald and all that kind of stuff and not mention the CBC and all that kind of stuff, right? The guy was asking about supporting local journalism. So, we'll support local journalism and all that kind of stuff. We like local journalists. Yeah, of course, because they don't have the resources to do a fact check. But here, right, you saw what he just did there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's trumping.
What does that say? But what did he do? The guy who says he's going to defend Canadian culture is Americanizing our politics.
Yeah, we do not have executive orders, number one. And he said it's fake. And once again, he is outside of the House of Commons. Parliamentary privilege does not apply here. He said that with intent.
Again, say anything. It's a fake executive order. No, it's an order in council.
There's a difference.
It's a thing.
Difference. Let's continue for, 3 minutes or whatever, how long it is.
election It is still in place, and it applies across the board. The tax is scheduled to go up 300% over the next 5 years, and hiding it for a few weeks will not change that. Furthermore, the full carbon tax also applies to industries. Industries like those here at Iveco. Iveco makes hot-rolled steel wire and steel billets, and these taxes drive up the cost of the entire domestic steel industry. Mr. Carney has said that he wants to expand the industrial carbon tax beyond the already eye-watering increases the government has passed into law. He specifically singled out steel in an interview he did on CTV. He said that Canadians don't buy steel, they don't need steel, and therefore it won't do any harm to tax steel. Although he did admit that the tax would drive up the cost of an automobile by just $200. I don't think anybody believes that. Remember when the Liberals told us that the earlier carbon tax wouldn't cost you anything? We learned later that that was not true.
Okay.
Carney's proposed shadow carbon tax.
Just a minute.
The $200. Yes. Okay. The extra $200 is not tariffs. Will add $200 to the price of the car. And tariffs will add $200 to the price of the steel that is used in the car. All the other components of the car are also subject to tariffs. So, misleading there. And then there was a whole bunch of other bullshit in that thing. But the eye-watering increases to the industrial, he's never mentioned the industrial tax before then. Never. In fact, one of the problems with our carbon mechanism is that we didn't have like the big price on the absolute biggest emitters.
Do you want to address this statement here from Thought Police? I'm not picking on anybody. Okay, I just. He says, didn't the Liberal Party run us to the ground for the better part of the decade? What's the rationale for keeping them?
No, it didn't.
It didn't.
So
That's not. There's nothing.
It really doesn't. There's absolutely all the macroeconomic data literally indicates the 180-degree polar opposite. So
there's no metric to support the statement. Not
whomever. Yes, whomever told you this or shared this information with you either lied to you deliberately or was also misinformed and shared information that is incorrect.
Exactly.
We're not going to go into it here. We do it often on the show, and everybody, and it's all over the news. We know what the debt to GDP ratio numbers are. We know coming the soft landing. We know that we're projected to have, well, until Trump did what he did, the highest economic growth in the IMF. We actually showed all the graphs from the International Monetary Fund, what the projections were. Canada had the biggest one of the G7, biggest increase projected in gross domestic product, even bigger than the United States and even bigger than all OECD countries combined, the average rate for them.
There's no metric to support the statement that we were financially run into the ground. There's not a single one. There's
when
not a one.
Yeah, when Chrétien became prime minister servicing the debt, we were paying 35 cents on the dollar, because now we're paying 11 cents on the dollar. And that's after all the debt that Harper left us and the debt we picked up with COVID. We're fine. we're really, really, really fine. And that's it. Of course, macroeconomics is different than microeconomics.
Mm-hmm.
The overall finances. Yes, the overall finances of the country are very, very sound. Of course, on a microeconomic level, right, we have a whole bunch of people that are going to be renewing mortgages in the next 18 months, and they will be higher than they were back when we were almost having close, when the Bank of Canada's rate was 0.25%, which is ridiculously low and was only low because we had a once in 100-year pandemic. And the whole world stopped. That was a completely abnormal situation. Nobody should be going, oh my God, I can't believe I have to pay more and getting ripped off. No. Back then, that was abnormally, that should never have existed. We got a bonus benefit that way for all the crap we had to go through.
Indeed.
But that is not normal times. That is even the interest rates now are historically low, even with the increases. So,
Correct.
I mean, and now we've had decreases to go on top of that. And because of what Trump is threatening, people are suggesting that we might even get more decreases than were originally planned. So we are doing quite all right on that level. So please actually do your own research.
Yes.
And don't take what we say.
No, you can look into what
For
we've just
cash.
told you by all means, but we're not.
But here's the thing: is that as opposed to the other people, we tell you, take what we say, and go look.
Go look.
See if we're right.
Do some critical thinking. Question what we said, and then if you want to disprove anything, by all means. If we get anything wrong, we're happy to be corrected.
Yeah, but if you doubt us, we're not asking you to take our word. See, we've been talking on this show a lot about respecting your audience, right? We're trying to play the long game and build a relationship with our audience that they will stay with us for years and years and years. We do that by doing our best to make sure that the information we give them is accurate. And when we fail at that, we actually, on the show, we actually have a section to say we're issuing a gentle correction on ourselves. Because we proactively do that. We tell you to go look for yourself. And then come back and see if we're right. So other people don't tell you to do that.
If we're wrong, show us your work. Show us where we're wrong. We have no issue with being corrected. If we get something wrong and somebody provides us new information that shows us that we were wrong, we are happy to share that with you.
Yes.
We are not so entrenched that we are right about everything, because that's not how the world works. You get new information, you change.
But here's the thing. We're a bit like Nick Pike. We don't like being wrong.
No, we don't like being wrong.
So we really, 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 really try to make sure that we're right before we open our mouths. Yes. We actually take that care, again, because we respect our audience. If you respect your audience, you don't fear them checking you. You encourage them to check you. You want to be checked. You welcome being checked. When there's actually something to check. The check for check's sake. Just to get into mindless debate, however. That's not on. Life is short. We got things to do. So, let's keep on with this. Here, Pierre.
Okay, 1 second.
Will be bigger than Trudeau's carbon tax. And it's ultimately a trick. Hide the tax before the election and then bring it back bigger than ever after the election. This was a bad idea before the Trump.
That's mere speculation.
It's like,
I'll say gaslighting.
It's to pull it out of you. Yeah. Again, the numbers are bad. We're in the say anything portion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the worse the numbers will get, like this, he's going to come and eat your children in the middle of the night. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats, right? At some point, it's going to go down to that. But right now, we're already like this. There's going to be another carbon tax. And that one has been all along. And it's been eye-watering and being increased at eye-watering levels, even though we never even mentioned it once in the last 10 years until just now. But it's been killing you. And this one, and there's another one that's going to be on top, and it's going to come and get you, and it's hiding under your bed and in your closet.
Yeah. It's just gaslighting.
Fear.
It's gaslighting.
Trump tariffs. But now that Trump is hitting Canadian industry with a massive tariff, Carney is saying that he will impose a massive carbon tax on Canadian businesses. The combination of Trump's tariffs and Carney's carbon taxes would be a disaster for the workers behind me.
Stop.
Workers would lose wages, consumers.
Wasn't that exactly the same line he was saying with the carbon tax and the tariffs? Okay, again, carbon tax has added, 17 cents a liter to the gas so far? A 25% tariff is way more.
Yeah.
Way more. Mathematically. Take the price of gas, multiply it by 25%. Take the price of gas, and add 11 cents, or sorry, add 4 more cents, because that's what the next increase would be. 3.4 cents, I think, or something, 3.7.
3.7, I think, is what it was. But I don't have the number in front of me.
I have a feeling that 25% of, let's say, $1.60 is more than 3.7 cents.
The comment from Linda here, I think, is really funny. The workers behind him don't look all that convinced, to be honest.
Yeah, the work. Yeah, the looks like they applauded enough. I'm guessing the ones that were there. I don't know how this works on the plant, but I'm guessing somebody says somebody's coming, and if you would like to stand, come show up. I'm guessing it's volunteered. They're not
you
mandated
need to
to
stand
do
in the
that.
background, be quiet, not say anything, and you can applaud when appropriate. And that's probably the instructions they're given, especially for a conservative press conference, because when Trudeau had town halls, anybody was allowed in.
Yes. But this technically is not a town hall. But
No,
I would guess
but
that
what I'm saying is,
yeah. But I'm guessing that these are workers at the plant that might be predisposed to voting conservative.
Possibly,
in the first place.
possibly.
Because I would be very surprised if the plant said all of you need to be there, whether you support them or not, because that's not part of the job.
I think a few of them have that. Oh yeah, another arse from Ottawa is going to come in here to save the day. I'm sure that's what the thought process is for the vast majority of those folks. I could be quite wrong. Maybe they love the guy. I don't know.
Based on what I watched, the level
on some of their faces, it's kind of like, oh great, somebody from Ottawa is going to come in here and tell us how they're going to save us.
But based on the applause, now again, it might be because it's a big room and there's a lot of echo, but it seemed to be loud and enthusiastic in that sense for him. So I will give him that. In terms of, I won't take that away from him. I take that away or try to spin that in another way. It seems that those that were behind him are people that would probably vote with him based on the applause.
Yeah, you're probably right, but we don't know. It's all speculation.
But we don't know exactly. This is entirely speculation.
Okay, we'll go back to the video. More torture here for a minute or two.
The combination of Trump's tariffs and Carney's carbon taxes would be a disaster for the workers behind me. Workers would lose wages, consumers would pay more. Money and jobs would leave Canada, making us even more dependent on the Americans, just like Trump wants. It reminds us of Carney's decision to move his headquarters out of Canada to the U.S. This new tax would apply to lumber mills, steel mills, factories, aluminum plants, and they would in many cases simply leave. But I won't let that happen. Today I'm announcing that a common-sense, Canada First Conservative government will repeal the entire carbon tax, including the federal backstop that requires...
You cannot do that for the umpteenth time. Every trade agreement we have with European Union nations requires a carbon tax, period.
And I believe border mechanism kicks in at the beginning of 2026.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can opt out of the Paris Accords. You can do whatever you want. You cannot trade with European Union nations if you do not have a carbon regulatory recovery fee or a carbon reduction plan or carbon tax. You cannot trade. It's part of the trade agreements.
Okay. And here's the dangerous part. As Trump is going to be imposing these tariffs and we are trying to diversify our trade partnerships, he is limiting our ability to do so by wanting to produce materials that cannot be exported without additional tariffs.
Correct.
He is not going to defend us. He is going to bring us to our knees, like Mark Carney said. If you worship at the altar of Trump, you're not going to stand up to Canada. You're going to kneel to him. He is literally saying that the solution is to eliminate the carbon tax on everything, all forms of carbon pricing, anywhere. Make pollution free again. Which will make it harder for us to export anything. It'll make it harder for us to diversify ourselves. It will tie our hands behind our backs. That is what he's proposing. And did you see the really creepy smile?
Mm-hmm.
Just as he said, common sense conservatives. That's a new thing he's been trying out too. He tried it out in the last press conference too. It's like, yeah, do not do that. It's like when Tom Mulcair was trying to smile, when they told him to smile more. No, don't do that. That's not you.
It's creepy. It's creepy.
It's creepy as fuck. It's like he smiles, common sense conservatives, as he's about to announce how it is that he's going to hold us down as Trump climbs all over us. His plan is to pin our hands to the ground. And of course, you have to slide in that line about Carney. Just he's like taking little elements and putting them together in sentences to try to make it fit into. It's disjointed.
Well, let's address something here. You are correct in what you just said, but what I want to address is going on about Pierre Poilièvre lying about Carney left, right, and center. Okay, he's going to do that because that's who he is. That's all he's got is a bag full of lies or a bag full of bullshit. Rosie Barton yesterday doing what she did to Mark Carney, and now we have somebody who is Lawrence Martin, who is a Globe and Mail columnist.
Yep.
Says terribly weak performance by Carney
Yes.
today at press conference. RE blind trust. Will political inexperience hurt Carney? We saw the answer today. Here's the thing, though, and this is from Clay Thompson on the Twitter. I do follow him. He follows me, Harry T59 _ Harry. Carney did everything required of him or any other prime minister. He even got security clearance within 2 weeks. If he had any conflicts, it would have come up in the clearance procedure. Because financial conflicts, financial issues, if you have too much debt, you don't get your clearance because you are subject to being bought off by a foreign nation.
Yeah. Exactly.
This is a simple fact. If your debt ratio is too high, you don't get the clearance because you become a risk.
Yeah.
So if he had strange or weird financial goings on, that would have come out in his clearance. So Rosie, terrible journalism.
Well, here's the other thing about Lawrence Martin's comment, though, and what Rosie is doing. Because we haven't showed it to you yet, but we will.
We will.
I guess I saw Lawrence Martin's comment, like you read it, right? Terribly weak performance by Carney today at press conference. RE blind trusts. Will political inexperience hurt Carney? We saw the answer today. No, we didn't. And my thing was, and this is how it starts. The other guy's been a party leader since 2022, has not divested his controlled assets to a blind trust, and will not sit for security clearance. But we are worried more about Carney's alleged conflicts. By virtue of Carney filing, the press knows that there is paperwork. So now they are tearing them down to know what's in the paperwork. Meanwhile, back at Stornoway, the guy who didn't file sits back. What's the message being sent? If you file, we'll punish you. If you don't,
we'll punish you
and insist on not to, well, we'll just give up and then let you skate. Way to serve democracy, media. The thing is that we have a situation where this guy has disclosed early, has divested of his controlled assets when you know the other guy has controlled assets because his ethics filing has actually been reviewed and watered, sanitized for public consumption to hide the personal details. And put out so you can get a sense. Well, of course, this is not going to happen with Mark Carney unless the ethics commissioner does all the work and puts it out before Tample that. But he has 120 days.
Well,
right, to do that kind of stuff, and then the ethics commissioner takes it and then does the thing and then puts it on the web for everyone to see. Now, of course, with the short timelines, if everything follows regular timelines and the ethics commissioner does their job the way that they're supposed to, even though Mark Carney got his stuff in as early as humanly possible, because if it's not ready, it's not ready. So they're saying, well, you won't be able to see it, but we can see it for Pierre, and so you need to tell us beforehand. It's like, no, he doesn't. Actually, that's a new rule.
Well,
That's a new rule that you have created just for him. Now,
the
so,
response
yes,
from Carol McNeil is perfect here.
yes, but hold on. So while we know that Pierre has some stuff, right? And we know what it is. He's got some Bitcoin, some ETFs and certain things like this. He hasn't divested of them.
No, he's not.
Right? So we have a situation where someone has divested of something. So we know there's paperwork, but we don't know what's in the paperwork yet because that part hasn't yet been made public because there's a process and it's not through the process yet. And we have a guy that has done that and has gone through the process, but has not divested. Who's the bigger risk?
Mm-hmm.
The person who's of a conflict, the person who still controls their assets. Number one, he's not being asked the question. Then we got the security question because we're talking about disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
Carney has disclosed. Carney had 5 eyes security clearance way before. So
Correct.
if he had 5 eyes clearance before, and there's not one scintilla, iota, or whiff of any type of conflict all before that, why would we why would we think that there is any more now? This guy won't even sit. This guy won't even disclose in private to authorities. You should be asking him questions. The grilling that you have you're asking the person who has disclosed more tougher questions than the person who will not who stood in front of Mike and says, "No, I will not." And the only reason you're doing it is because you know paperwork exists. He's willing to file the paperwork so you can go look at something. The other guy isn't. So you got nothing to go look at. So all of a sudden, journalists are curious. But only on one guy. This is not helpful. Now, would it be better in some way if that information that can be made public or that is normally made public was public before? Yeah, absolutely. But there's a process, and there's a process that takes time. I guess Carney could always suggest it. Well, hey, I'll hold off calling an election until the ethics commissioner is done. But again, why would he tie his hand behind his back? Again, he has the clearance, and he's had clearance before. He is, ever since probably being the governor of the Bank of Canada, he has had higher security clearance more often than Pierre has ever had.
Correct.
If there was something, and his security clearances keep on getting renewed because the higher the level security clearance, the more often it has to be renewed. Right? When you're a clerk within the public service, your security clearance, the one that you have and the level that you have, needs to be renewed once every 10 years. Not so when you have 5 eyes security clearance. It's regular, really regular, sometimes maybe even more than once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Regularly updated. So he keeps on passing them. Right? So the thing is that you have to understand that when these questions are being asked repeatedly and the answer is not being accepted, the insinuation here is that the person is not being truthful,
Mm-hmm.
is lying.
Well,
and if you enter into a conversation with someone with the assumption beforehand that they are lying, then you are doing you're doing journalism according to guilty until you prove yourself innocent. And that is very toxic. Especially when there isn't a scintilla of evidence or anything out anywhere in the public domain at any time in this person's career to which hang a hat on and say, hey, might this be corrupt? Why would he suddenly start now? Mr. Grizzly?
From Carol McNeil, this response. I get why opposition leader Pierre Poilièvre wants Mark Carney to reveal his holdings publicly now. The request itself is enough to potentially do damage by making people suspicious, which fits with their sneaky narrative. The media argues that the more the public knows about a PM's holding, the better. It also gives them something to challenge him on, to look fair. However, there are strict rules and constant monitoring around the Prime Minister's holdings while they are in power. In this case, Canadian Prime Minister has said he divulged his holdings to the Ethics Commissioner ahead of schedule and put them in a blind trust, which means this is now in the hands of Ethics Canada, which in turn means Conrad von Finkenstein will soon make a determination if everything is lawful and will put out a public summary of Prime Minister Carney's holdings.
And let me point out that when Conrad van Finkelstein was named the ethics commissioner, because there was an issue again, right?
Mm-hmm.
One had to leave, and then one got brought in, then conservatives got mad and said, no, not that one. So Conrad van Finkelstein, I believe, used to be the head of the CRTC, if I'm not mistaken, and has an impeccable record and reputation. Continue.
Provinces impose industrial taxes. There will be no taxes on consumers, no taxes on Canadian industries. Instead, provinces will continue to have the freedom to address this issue how they like, but there will be no federal obligation to impose the tax. We will also axe the tax on steel, aluminum, natural gas, food production, concrete, and other industries. Instead of taxes, we will use technology. Technology, not taxes, is the best way to fight climate change and protect our environment. While the Liberals tax businesses who use energy, Conservatives will cut taxes and boost incentives for those who bring down emissions. Carrot, not stick. We will expand eligibility for the clean technology and clean manufacturing investment.
So what he's saying here is we are washing our hands of this. We are downloading this all down to the provinces if they want to do something. And then for the industries that want to do something, well then, we'll have more tax advantages. Again, more tax cuts, more tax, fiddling with the tax system. And again, relying on technology, but nothing. Let's continue a little bit, unless you have something to add to that, Mr. Grizzly.
No, we'll continue. I just needed to get his face off the screen for a few minutes.
Yeah, yes. His family hasn't arrived yet.
Investment tax credits. We will reward heavy industries who make products with lower emissions than the world average. For example, Canada's industry produces 2 tons of greenhouse gases for every 1 ton of aluminum. China produces 12 tons of emissions for every 1 ton of aluminum, 6 times more. So every time you bring production from China back to Canada, you actually reduce emissions on a global scale. And I see there's some pigeons up there giving me a round of applause.
Okay. Well, you're Pierre, Pigeon Pierre. I mean, of course, you're in touch with the pigeons. They shit all over everything and act like they start around like they won something. But his analogy here doesn't even hold water. China is what, 1.3 billion people? Canada is 42 million. We could not produce as much as them on our best day. If every single Canadian was working in that field, we couldn't do it. So his comparison is ridiculous. Yes, of course there'd be less greenhouse gases produced in Canada because we're not going to produce as much as them because we don't have the numbers. Ugh. Fucking guy.
Or something, flapping their wings, but a little bit distracting, but still no less. If you don't laugh, you cry in this world. Cutting taxes on clean production will bring jobs and production home and bring global emissions down.
It. No more. We don't need any more. So again, Pierre's family showed up, pigeons, applauding for him. And then once again, he tried to human.
He tried.
But if you don't laugh, you, in this world, you cry, ha, nah. But moving on, I'm a real boy. Someday I'll be a real boy. Did you feel any verve or passion in his commitment to save Canada from the devastating combination of tariffs and carbon Did you feel this is the type of person that will dedicate himself 24/7 to making sure that I get to keep my job? Pigeons. You're weak. I'm just this guy. How can anybody take this man seriously?
I don't know.
Meanwhile, back in London, England, of course, in this case. Hello to our friends in London, Ontario. Hello, miss and family. But back in jolly old London, Prime Minister Mark Carney was there. Had an audience with King Charles now.
King Charles.
I have so much trouble adjusting to King Charles. And it's she's been queen for almost 50 years of my life. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to break a habit that you've had going for 50 years. King Charles met with the second Canadian Prime Minister in a few weeks. Hey, might as well build us a wing there. It seems we're there a lot. A lot of people have commented about the lack of sort of outward support. And the first one had happened is when the Prime Minister went to see King Charles. There's a couple of things that have happened that maybe didn't get noticed since then, but and whether or not these things are intended or not, it's hard to tell. Typically, royal watchers say that the royals do not get involved in these types of things, but when Trump visited the Queen last time, she did make sure to wear a brooch that the Obamas had gifted her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a subtle jab.
Yeah, so sometimes they do. Well, the day after the Prime Minister visited King Charles, and everybody said, well, he did give a full-throated thing. The sovereign didn't stand up for Canada. King Charles III wore Canadian military honors on Tuesday, the day after Prime Minister Justin Trudeau met the monarch in the United Kingdom. While many on social media took this as a positive sign that the king has decided to show support for Canada amid U.S. President Donald Trump's threats of annexation, was it just a coincidence? We don't know. And then, and then there was another thing that had happened with regards to the military stuff, and not the military stuff, but the royals, and another little symbol that came out, and it's like the symbols are being shown here and there if you're paying attention. The thing is, as Mark Carney keeps on saying, and said also in this press conference, is we don't need these things. We can speak for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But it is nice when they happen. No doubt about that. So yeah, there is some symbolism. And like we said, the foreign minister of Germany actually gave a full-throated endorsement of Canadian sovereignty while she was here for the G7. And there's been some more additional announcements of German and Canadian economic cooperation coming out yesterday as well. So things are moving. Life is coming at America and at Trump really, really, really fast, but they don't see it yet.
Life comes at you pretty fast.
Indeed.
That's my Ferris Bueller.
Do you have the Rosie clip?
I got to dig it up. Just bear with me for a minute here.
Okay. The announceable part of the press conference wasn't really anything. We sat, we met, X number of hundreds of years of, cooperation with France and with, the UK, given our history and, two of the three of our origin stories, the third one being Indigenous. As we mentioned yesterday, he will be making a stop in Nunavut on his way back from this trip. And there were some questions asked by the European pool. They were pretty basic and, again, stuff like about people standing up and all that kind of stuff. And then it got to the Canadian pool and there were questions. And, there's no real need to go through a lot or tons of all those questions because, day to day, there's the similar ones with a slightly different tinge. But this particular exchange, and the thing about this exchange is that it would be horrible had it happened here in Canada on Canadian soil, but this happened on foreign soil. Somebody thought that it was a good idea to do this while we are in another country.
Yeah.
With all the European feeds going on. Right, Rosie?
Just bad. Just bad. I'm going to have to crank the volume here because it's hard to hear, but this is the clip.
I'm complying with the rules in advance. Point final. Yes.
Spent most of his life in the private sector. There's no possible conflict of interest in your assets. It's very difficult to believe.
Look inside yourself, Rosemary. I mean, you start from a prior of conflict and ill will. I have served in the private sector. I have stood up for Canada. I have left my roles in the private sector at a time of crisis for our country. I'm complying with all the rules. Your line of questioning is trying to invent new rules. I'm complying with the rules that Parliament has laid out and the responsibilities of the Ethics Commissioner. And I will continue to comply with those rules.
Okay. So he was asked a question by a journalist first. Yes. He was asked a question by a journalist first, and then he gave the first answer, and then Rosemary and Barton. But really, you're not conflicted. There's no possibility of conflicts. You, possibly, no conflicts whatsoever. Really, I find that hard to believe. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on there. You're a banker, therefore you must be corrupt.
Well,
is the underlying premise.
Here's the thing, right? Some people are, and Glenn McGregor says in a presser in London, Mark Carney is getting testy when asked journalists about what assets he put in a blind trust. Weird that his campaign hasn't better briefed him to handle these. Snapping at reporters is a terrible look. Except Rosie Barton accused him of lying after he answered the question. It's a completely reasonable response.
It's human. And again, compare and contrast the leader of the opposition.
Well, I'll answer the question. You don't like my answer, but I'm going to give you the answer.
I mean, Mark Carney has a lot of latitude to be prickly if we're comparing. Here, that's not prickly. That's not rude. That's standing up for yourself. And you know what? I think Trump is going to try a whole lot worse.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, this man has just showed us that he could push back. And not push back in a rude way. Right? Were you asleep on that day? Look inside yourself.
Well, here's a short
What are you bringing?
Matina Stivis-Grindnoff, who is the Canada bureau chief for the New York Times. She says, a very interesting press conference in London with PM Carney on a number of topics. I will post several top points here. I will start with the fact that pressed about his revealing his personal assets by Stephen Levitz of the Globe, the PM said he was sticking to all rules. He was then further challenged by Rosie Barton to offer assurances that there are no conflicts of interest in investment positions. The PM told Rosemary to look inside herself and accused her of starting her position from accused her of starting her questioning from a position of ill will. She didn't further challenge him. This is a statement from somebody else. She told him it's hard to believe, basically calling him a liar.
Mm-hmm.
She deserves to be put in her place. She's rude, condescending, and nasty. Time for her to finally clean up her act. And here's the thing.
What is that? Is that what the journalist said?
No, this was just an individual responding to the journalist.
Okay. Because I was surprised. I would have been surprised if the person was the New York Times. That part.
Here's more from the thread from the journalist. PM Carney explicitly stated the obvious, but it needed to be said. Asked about annexation threats by the U.S., he noted the U.S. and Canada are NATO members and are bound by Article 5. Another important line from the PM, he explicitly said he wants negotiations with the U.S. when they're ready, and said the retaliatory approach to U.S. tariff has its limits, can't go on forever. So yeah, that's the extent of that thread.
Yeah.
It's just, he answered the question, and then Rosie came from a position of ill will.
Yep.
She basically called him a liar.
4 days into being prime minister. It's a bad faith question.
Mm-hmm.
He is 100% correct to say, whoa, look inside yourself and ask from where that question comes from. Because that was one hell of a loaded question. The question is being asked as if he is guilty of something, when there's not a scintilla of matter in the public domain about him for any suspicion to exist. The only thing is, you were a banker and you have money. Therefore,
Robson,
you must be corrupt.
Jennifer Robson on Blue Sky says, a reminder, we don't know the value of the assets held by the leader of the official opposition either. And we don't ask politicians to disclose what they used to own before having to make a disclosure. This is also stupid.
Mm-hmm. This is how it starts. Tearing down people for sport.
Mm-hmm.
Had he made a financial transaction or two that was known past that people go, okay. Had he signed a weird type of accord or something? Had he made a decision as the governor that made people go, whoa, why is he dealing? Okay, there's nothing. You can tell there's nothing because Conservative Party of Canada has more money than God to do opposition research on this guy. And all they've got is he's going to hide a carbon tax, or that order in council he signed was fake. They've got nothing on him because there's nothing to find, maybe.
So they'll just try and create something.
I mean, is there anybody in this nation that's more expert at digging up dirt on people than the Conservative Party of Canada?
It's the raison d'etre.
The Conservative Party of Canada live in a world where they cannot imagine that any other human being, particularly in politics, is not as shady and corrupt and unethical as they are. You have to be this way to be in politics. I cannot believe that there could be decent people in politics. They all have to be as crappy as us. So let's just treat them let's just accuse them of doing what we know we're doing, and we'll get them. Attack them first. Psychologically, you've got to ask yourself about the makeup of people who cannot imagine a reality in which people are not as awful as they are. That's not healthy. That's literally the definition of toxic. It's like going up the river down to the source of toxic. And this, again, I have to say, from a party that has pleaded guilty in court to cheating in an election 5 years after it did it, 5 years after looking at you straight in the face every damn day. No, we would never do that. We passed the Accountability Act. We're not that type of people. They talked so hard about the Accountability Act because while they were doing that, they were cheating. Look over here. Sorry. Then they had a cabinet minister go to jail. Then their current leader has a deferred prosecution agreement. Because not only did he benefit from the cheating of his party, but in a subsequent election, he decided to cheat personally. And so blatantly that he knew that if he would go to court, he would be found guilty. But it's Carney's ethics we're worried about.
Well,
now, I'm not saying you don't look into, you do your due diligence with everyone. You use the same metric for everyone. You do the basic questioning, you do the check, you ask, you test, you push. And then, if there's nothing, you move on. And when you have a side-by-side of two people, and one is so far down the hill from the other, maybe you want to ask maybe you want to lob a couple of questions in the other camp. Similar questions. Maybe you do. Maybe, I don't know. For shits and giggles. You literally have one guy who is not doing it. You won't ask the questions.
well, and when they can't go after him, they go after his daughter.
Yeah. As we talked yesterday, they're going after his daughter, and the fuck Carney flags are already out there because, again, there is nothing original. That whole press conference from Pierre was him repeatedly trying to hammer square pegs into round holes. He's got his narrative, and God almighty, he's going to try to make it fit.
Well, I mean,
We deserve better.
listen to this. PM Mark Carney's daughter, Sasha, who uses they-them pronouns and legally changed her name, discusses her experience at the radical Tavistock transgender clinic in an essay unearthed by True North.
Yeah.
Really?
Again, True North is... Okay, again, there's a media organization similar in terms of status to ours.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Not legacy media, not what, just while we are looking at clips from press conferences and remembering what happened further than 30 seconds ago and relating these things to you, they are digging through essays written by children of the candidates to find something.
Yeah.
Because they saw that the child of the candidate, who, yes, is an adult and studying at Harvard.
No, not that child.
Oh, not that child.
No.
Oh, no, it's not. No, right.
Cleo.
Not Cleo.
That's Cleo.
That,
not Cleo.
yes, because he has 4 kids.
Correct.
I believe. Oh,
Yes, 4.
so younger.
Older.
Even older.
Okay. Older daughter.
Older daughter. So adult, but not at all involved in politics. Didn't even introduce her father.
No, she wasn't there.
So no reason to go for her. Dragging her in because, one, the daughter of, but because they use they pronouns. Well, at least now, the questions that we were wondering about Mark Carney, is there anything, because he hasn't said anything about the rainbow community, whether or not he's supportive or whatnot. Well, I guess maybe we now we know. If he has a child that uses pronouns, and I assume he loves his child, then he supports, right?
Apparently, she never went to that clinic either.
Oh, of course.
The
So
essay that she wrote. The essay that Candace Malcolm wrote herself cites, which quotes Carney describing her friend going to the clinic. which contrasts herself going to the building for therapy with the patients who turned towards the medical spaces I didn't feel trans enough to enter. So, from Bruce Arthur, he's like, today's big Juno story out by Candace Malcolm is an attack on Mark Carney's trans daughter and that kid's care experience in the UK. It's sickening. Lots of people are saying that you shouldn't go after the families of politicians and especially the kids. That's corrosive for democracy. Beyond that, it's just vile. But this is worse. This is attacking a vulnerable private individual to inflict political damage. This is what is happening in Canada. The right-wing pretend media is abandoning not just standards, but decency. No standards, no decency.
That sounds pretty much, that should be the slogan.
Yeah.
Pierre Poilièvre, no standards, no decency. What a little truth in advertising. But Candace Malcolm, what do you expect, right?
Yeah.
It's literally what living, it is so disappointing when people live down to every expectation you have of them. And show up with a shovel so they can keep digging.
Yeah, Sasha Carney never went to the Tavistock Gender Clinic. So the lead is wrong.
Oh my God.
They've thrown all their basic decency and humanity, if they ever fucking had it, right out the window so that they can go after a politician that they don't support by trying to tear down his trans daughter and publish lies.
Okay. I'm going to bring this in because there's a report from Press Progress, and it's Luc Lebrun, the editor, who we have a lot of respect for. If Pierre Poilièvre's Conservatives form government after the next federal election, Poilièvre will defund the CBC and expand government funding arrangements to include right-wing alternative media outlets. So he has no problem. So again, the party who for the last X number of years is Justin Trudeau is buying off the media with these subsidies so he can get favorable press for himself. It's like, when's the favorable press going to start? By the way, he's doing it wrong. But now he's willing to take your tax dollars to fund right-wing alternative media outlets. But that won't be him buying favorable coverage, because it's only governments only buy favorable coverage for media by subsidizing them when liberals do it. When conservatives do it, it's increasing your freedom of speech.
Which we don't have in Canada. We have freedom of expression. There's a difference.
Exactly. But they love to Americanize us. So.
Well, of course they do. And the free speech absolutists are all about free speech when they get to say the hateful things they want to say consequence-free. But when we get shut up for speaking the truth, they cheer that.
Yes.
As evidenced by what happened to Nate.
Exactly. Speaking to right-wing online media personality Candace Malcolm with the website Juno News, the fact that he's even speaking to her should be disqualifying, Poilièvre indicated he would, in his words, quote, depoliticize news media finance. You cannot depoliticize media finance by funding right-wing alternative media outlets who exist only to be political. Come on. Asked by Malcolm to clarify if he would, quote, get rid of that $6 million newspaper fund that Trudeau gave to newspapers, Poilièvre confirmed he will make unspecified cuts to news industry subsidies, but is also interested in expanding which media organizations can access those funds. So in other words, no, he will not get rid of that $600 million fund that he said can only be used by governments to buy themselves propaganda like this. I will make unspecified cuts and expand who can access them. So in other words, it's a good idea. I like it. I want to keep it, and I want to make it what I accused the other guy of saying, of doing with it. Quote, we are going to be cutting back on that, Poilièvre said on Liberal government's new subsidies. You'll have to wait for our platform to get the details, which they will never release. Poilièvre then suggested he would also change how CRA designates who qualifies for those subsidies. We have to depoliticize news media finance, Poilièvre said. Right now, what happens is that there are subsidies that go to favored media outlets that CRA designates, and there's not funding for others. Of course, the worst example is CBC, which gets this enormous subsidy to do largely what Canadians can get elsewhere. Canadians can get digital media, video, graphical media anywhere else. We need to defund the CBC and have an independent, self-supporting media. Okay, none of this makes sense because that $600 million fund is not the fund through which CBC is funded.
No,
CBC, the Crown Corporation, has an individual thing. So
that's
that
Post Media gets that.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
part of their business plan.
Exactly. So none of this is part of that. And we need to defund the CBC and have an independent, self-supporting media, which you plan to use that $600 million fund to fund right-wing alternative media. How is that self-supporting?
It's not.
We need to have an independent, self-supporting media, but don't ask me to do that for you because I'm going to use those funds to fund right-wing alternative. He says everything and its opposite in the same freaking paragraph.
He just can't help but contradict himself.
Mixes pools of money, just conflates everything, puts it all into one jumbled mess, and then blah, word vomits it out.
Well,
It makes no sense.
I mean,
Hold
yesterday,
on.
I was going to quote Carney, but go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Our adversaries say a lot of things that are not correct, but this is the real world, not an imaginary one. The leader of the opposition would not be capable of having the discussions I had today because he has no security clearance.
And he's not tethered to reality.
He's not.
It kind of helps when you're going on the international global scene to talk to kings and heads of state.
Yeah.
That you're maybe slightly tethered to any type of observable reality. Come on, man. Later, while on the same line of questioning, Poilièvre said he also believes right-wing content creators and alternative media outlets should be welcomed into the parliamentary press gallery. Quote, independent media should be allowed on the precinct. There's no reason why it should be a small cabal of government-approved mouthpieces, Poilièvre said. I would love to see a scenario where every different kind of journalist from all backgrounds of all opinions is given a chance to report on what happens on the Hill. Yeah, he says that, but I bet you if he changed the laws and we applied, there's nothing wrong with allowing more independent media. Yes, but you need standards.
Yeah.
The independent media that you invite should probably be media people who have self-imposed a minimum quality standard and for veracity and respecting audience and sound analysis,
etc., etc.
It's not a free-for-all. It's not supposed to be a free-for-all. Poilièvre spokesperson Sebastian Skamsky did not respond to multiple requests from Press Progress. See? But I bet they sure as fuck responded to the National Post, did they? Do you think that they would respond to a question from us if they don't respond for Press Progress? Seeking clarification, right? That's what I mean. Seeking clarification about what changes a conservative government would make to the CRA rules that set out the eligibility criteria for media outlets looking to access government subsidies. And may I also remind you, when he's talking about depoliticizing the news, they're the ones who politicized it in the first place by changing the ownership laws when Harper was in power. And Pierre had no problem with the politicization of news then. Did he? Skamsky would also not clarify if Poilièvre would specifically extend government subsidies to right-wing websites like Juno or Rebel Media. Oh, well, I can't tell you which ones now. Wink. But hey, I'm giving an exclusive interview to Candace Malcolm, so maybe you can guess. I'm so coy. Look at me. In 2019, the federal government introduced new tax measures to support journalism in Canada, including the creation of a registered journalism organizations, RJO, which are exempt from paying income tax, are eligible to receive donations from registered charities, and are also able to issue tax receipts to donors. To become an RJO under the Income Tax Act, an organization must first be designated as a qualified Canadian journalism organization, QCJO. A CRA spokesperson told Press Progress, quote, "The review of organizations' qualified Canadian journalism organization application are undertaken by the CRA in consultation with the Independent Advisory Board on the eligibility for journalism tax measures. If the organization meets the requirements for designation as a QCJO, it can apply to the CRA to be an RJO." That's a lot of acronyms. Registered Journalism Organization. The Canada Revenue Agency notes news organizations must meet specific eligibility criteria to qualify, including that more than half of its output be devoted to, quote, original news content, which is why Rebel News doesn't qualify, on, quote, matters of general interest and reports of current events, including coverage of democratic institutions and processes. Currently, some right-wing websites meet the eligibility criteria while others do not. Derek Fildebrandt, publisher of the Western Standard, has said his publication is designated as a QCJO, while Rebel Media has been rejected by the CRA and a federal court on the grounds that it does not produce enough original news content. Poilièvre's interview was part of the launch of a new subscription-based right-wing media outfit called Juno News. Do the people at Juno News know that there was a movie named Juno that featured, now Elliot Page?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, they probably still call him Ellen. I'll bet you.
Yeah. Now I'm sure that they took Juno as reference to Juno Beach, which don't
D-Day.
do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Do not associate yourself in any way, shape, or form with that day and the valor of the people who did. Do not do that. You are not them. You are not them. The new startup, yes. Poilièvre's interview was part of the launch of a new subscription-based right-wing media outfit called Juno News, named after the beach where Canadian troops landed on D-Day. It advertises itself as a source for, quote, daily news podcasts, live broadcasts on breaking news, investigative documentaries, and provocative, of course, commentary. The new startup was co-founded by Candace Malcolm, who identifies herself as, quote, the CEO of Juno News. Malcolm and her spouse, Kaz Nayachian, the chief operating officer of Shopify.
Yeah, that's who's funding it.
So while, when we're talking about buy Canadian, while Shopify is Canadian, it's Canadian in name only.
Yeah, I sold my holdings. I want nothing to do with them. I want nothing to do with them. They are a bunch of tech bro oligarchy. They're in bed with Musk and Bezos and all of those scumbags. So Shopify, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Or no buy.
No buy.
Malcolm and her spouse, Kaz Najatian, the chief operating officer of Shopify, are the founders and funders of the right-wing website True North. Not us.
No.
The other white meat.
And True North, I believe, has charitable status.
Yes, which operates as a registered charity. Literally the next lines in the next words in the article. You actually were reading Mr. LeBron's mind. And let's also note that while True North, the other one, has the bigger reach because they do the inflammatory stuff, we were True North before they existed.
Correct.
Just so you know. Not as a podcast, of course, but as the written blog.
Yeah. You had the blog. It's been,
how
many years now? You had it. It was almost 10 years when we met, and that's almost 5 years ago. So,
yeah. It's been a while. I think the beginning of around the time of Stephen Harper's majority term is around the time I started. So I'm gonna look in there and see if I have anything.
Back quite a few years.
We're going back quite a few years. Yeah, exactly. Wow, crazy. Yeah, there we go. 2011 is when we started.
14 years. Sorry, 14 years.
Yeah. So, and then I can go and take a look later on and when the actual the other True North came about or founded itself. So, all right, let's see how it ends here. While True North's old website and archive of content is still live and accessible, all of True North's social media accounts have been rebranded as Juno News, and several True North contributors now identify themselves as being affiliated with Juno. Well, thank goodness. You know what? There's one good thing, because I will tell you something, kids and cubs. We have had people not respond to requests for interviews with us because they thought we were the other True North because of
Yeah.
the name.
Yes.
We have
Now that
found
they're
out.
disappearing, this will help us.
This will help us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Although we still don't think you should have picked Juno.
No.
Um,
Well, I've got something
really?
to add to this conversation in a minute, but continue, please.
No. I think I spoke too early. In a public statement posted to its website, True North says it will continue to exist, but says all of its content will now be published on Juno's website going forward. So I don't know if there's like True North on Juno or something.
No.
If they're planning to do that.
Juno is just Juno. Juno News.
But it says True North. It says it will continue to exist. So I don't know if they're going to keep the brand in some way or do something else with it. But yeah. Ugh.
Well, I've got the about.
This
page
is
for
shady
Juno
as
News.
fuck.
I've got the about page for Juno News for you. I'm going to read it in a few minutes.
Okay. The article's done, so you can go ahead.
Okay. So this is simply priceless. From the about page from Juno News, and it starts off with a beauty. The legacy media is lying to you.
I am bracing myself.
That is why we created Juno News, a one-stop hub for trusted and fact-based news, honest and hard-hitting opinion, provocative and compelling videos and podcasts, and urgent need-to-know scoops exclusive to our subscribers.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Subscribe to get daily exclusive Canadian news stories, full access to our daily news podcast, early viewing of political interviews and documentaries, the ability to comment on stories, behind-the-scenes bonus clips, and a monthly fireside chat with the founders. Monthly fireside chat. Do you know two podcasters who do that once a month? We have a little chat. I believe we call it a podcast. Juno News is a new media company founded in 2025 by Candace Malcolm and Nazi Caillou Kian Bext. I put the Nazi Caillou in. And built upon the core Canadian principle of free speech and press freedom. Free speech is not a core principle in this country. It is called freedom of expression. These people want to be Americans. These values were once the foundation of newsrooms across Canada. That is, until Justin Trudeau bribed every member of the legacy media with bailout money to help secure his reign as Prime Minister. That, my friends, is a libelous statement right on their webpage. Here at Juno, there is no agenda aside from pursuing the truth.
Oh, fuck this.
We believe that in order to be truly independent, journalists should never take bailout money or corporate welfare from the government. Instead, we believe that free market principles should be the judge of who fails and who succeeds. Juno publishes original news stories, investigative journalism, in-depth series, and news scoops written by our friends over at True North. True North was founded by Candace Malcolm in 2016, and True North Wire is a designated journalism organization that produces high-quality news that is published here at Juno News, except True North is a charitable foundation. In addition to publishing True North Trusted Reporting, Juno also produces daily news podcasts, live broadcasts on breaking news, investigative documentaries, and provocative commentary to break through the state-funded groupthink and woke leftist narratives that dominate the legacy media. We focus on telling unique Canadian stories and setting the record straight on issues that have been ignored, misconstrued, or straight up lied about in the corporate and state-owned press. Our values. At Juno News, our values are what set us apart from other news organizations. We believe in the principles and ideals that Canada was built upon: honesty, integrity, hard work, independent, industriousness, tradition, transparency, and accountability. Honesty. You need to know the facts in order to get the truth. Juno puts the truth at the center of what we do. Integrity. In addition to being honest, we take seriously our role in showing good faith and maintaining strong moral principles. This includes being polite and respectful when appropriate, but also being tough and aggressive when needed. Okay, that's just a straight up bullshit.
Strong moral principles after they went dead to Mark Carney's. Oh, shit.
Daughter. Yeah,
dude. Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, my God.
Hard work. We don't shy away from rolling up our sleeves and getting the job done. We do our homework and come with receipts. Independence. We are not aligned with any political party or movement. Okay.
Oh, shit.
I'm sorry that. We believe in open discourse and a free exchange of ideas, so we often invite people on whom we disagree, and we often don't agree with each other. Isn't Keith Bex funded by the province of Alberta's UCP?
The counter single, yes, to the tune of over $100,000, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but we're not aligned with any political party or movement. They can't even tell the truth in their about page.
The delusion is strong, man.
We run our business like a startup and believe in being fiscally conservative and good shepherds of our limited resources. Tradition. We may be disruptors in the media landscape, but our worldview is deeply rooted in respect and reverence for tradition. Oh my God, the amount of bullshit on this page. Transparency. We will host monthly fireside chats with our subscribers and plainly explain why we are doing what we are doing. We're always happy to answer questions from the audience. Accountability. We believe that politicians must be accountable to citizens and likewise. Businesses must be accountable to customers. Paying customers of Juno News get access to monthly fireside chats where they can ask any. 3 times they've talked about the fireside chats.
Yes. Pay that. Watch us. The founders. Watch us.
Common sense.
Not a vanity project.
We'd like to make common sense common again.
Oh my God.
Love for Canada and its potential. At times, it may seem like we are too harsh in our criticism of our country, and especially of its Laurentian ruling class.
But we're not.
We love Canada and are committed to the core principles that build our incredible country. We believe in the potential of our country and believe our country's best days are ahead. Jesus Christ.
Well, there was one
shower now. I've just been showered in bullshit.
There was one part of that was true. Our values distinguish us from everybody else. Yeah. That part was true. It's just that what you guys clearly see when you look in the mirror at yourselves.
It's just, oh my God.
Oh my God. I can't believe you read that without busted a gut. I
had scanned it while you were talking. I was scanning through that while listening to you so that I knew what I was about to read.
Holy shit. I'm sorry if you're listening on podcast and you can't see this. Oh my God. Oh, my eyes are watering. Hold on. We need Yoda, man. The delusion is strong with him, yes.
Delusion is strong.
Oh, okay, Candace. Sure, Jan.
Yeah, we're about the true stories, so I'm going to attack Mark Carney's trans daughter.
High moral standards.
We don't belong to or behold ourselves to any political party, so I'm going to vehemently attack the daughter of the new PM. Nothing says integrity like going after somebody's child.
Send me money. I went after Carney's kids. Send us money. Seriously.
I'm really holding my tongue right now on my thoughts of Candace Malcolm. I'm really holding my tongue, and it's very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult, but I'm going to hold my tongue. I'm going to hold my tongue. I don't know her as a human being, as a person. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I will judge her on her writings and her, I'll put it this one in air quotes, reporting, and her, in air quotes again, journalism. I will judge her on that. And from what I have read, she's a terrible human being.
Oh my God.
A terrible human being who has nothing but wants to punch down on people because that's all they seem to have. I mean, the amount of bullshit in that page, though, and 3 times they mentioned the fireside chat, which is get as many viewers to the fireside chat so we can get some of that sweet YouTube advertising dollars. Just come right out and say it. We have never denied the fact that we are doing this to try and earn a living at it. Never.
Okay, for those of us who are relatively new, I don't have it here because I put it someplace for safekeeping as we're in renovations because it could have got knocked down. But I have this like big crown.
Mm-hmm.
If you see the thing there, the little thing, your royale with cheese, Queen Beaver, QWEEN, and that comes from Queen Romana Didulo, or dilaudid or diluted or whatever her name
Dilaudid?
is.
Yeah, dilaudid?
Yeah,
No, that's
dilaudid.
the medication. That's the
Yeah.
dog. The
Because she
Do dildo?
got her
Double dildo? I can't remember what her name is.
because she got herself a trailer, called herself a queen.
The Queen of
people
the
started-
Republic of Canada.
Yes. And people started throwing money at her. And I told myself, well, shit, if all you need to do is call yourself a queen to get yourself some green, I was born queen. In fact, I was kind of sucked into it. So, so here, you're Royal Queen Beaver. Send me money.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's where it comes from. That if for people who are wondering where this Queen Beaver, if you're relatively new
That's
to
where
the
it's
show,
from.
we was just playing. But
look,
come
we've
on,
never made a secret of the fact that we're trying to earn a living doing this. We've
Well, yeah.
never made a secret. We're open about that. We do this. Yes,
we want to make money.
we do want to make money on it.
We
do,
are
we do
social
this.
capitalists.
We love it, and we care about our country, and we feel it's important to get truth out to people when politicians lie to our faces and are not held to task for it. But we do feel it's only fair to earn a living doing what you do.
Yeah. We are social capitalists. So, yes, we believe in the society part, but we also believe in the capitalism. Just not unbridled, unfettered.
No.
Dumb.
No.
Some responsible capitalism that's, feeds the society that allows it to make money and helps it grow.
PNC Bio's dripping with sarcasm chat. Comment here. I got to read it because it's. I think it's very important to judge people by the sexual orientation of their children. I think we need a fireside chat about it. Like really punching Juno in the face, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, they should definitely have me on for that one.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, since we're
Queen of the Republic of Canada.
Yeah.
That's not. You can't be the queen of a republic. It doesn't work that way.
I know.
A republic is saying no to any sort of monarchy.
I know. Listen, they are not the sharpest axe in the tool shed.
No.
There's a couple sandwiches missing from the picnic. Okay? let's just be clear here. But Mr. Grizzly, since you made us laugh, I am going to read into the record this article that I read. Maybe we'll have a couple of laughs in there, but it is a serious theme. But it is so beautifully written.
Mm.
And words are my life.
Mm.
That I absolutely had to share it. And you will love this. So please, for the next couple of minutes, just sit back, relax, and let this one just wash over you, because I promise you, and that your Queen Beaver never steers you wrong. At least not intentionally. I'm human. I can make a mistake. But this one, I am pretty sure you're going to like. So, story time with Mr. Beaver. There's no Pierre Poilièvre without Justin Trudeau. That's why the Conservative leader seems broken. By Gillian Horton. Gillian Horton is a physician and author of We Are All Perfectly Fine, a memoir of love, medicine, and healing. The child psychiatrist Donald Winnicott famously said, "There is no such thing as an infant." He wasn't a nihilist or a delusional. He was illustrating the degree to which our identities are interdependent. A baby needs someone to change, feed, and nurture it. Without the existence of a mother or some other person to whom the baby belongs, there is, philosophically, but also literally, no baby. Winnicott's observations came back to me as I was thinking about the dizzying changes that have occurred in the Canadian political landscape over the course of just a few weeks. The Liberals, seemingly on their deathbed on January 6th, have regained a pulse. Pierre Poilièvre, however, appears to be losing his. And I wonder if his problem is related to Winnicott's theories of development. Maybe there is no Pierre without Justin. Our country has had a rough few months, but in some ways, Mr. Poilièvre has had it even worse. Ever since Justin Trudeau's announcement that he would step down as leader, followed coincidentally by the sudden rise of American threats aimed at our economy and our sovereignty, Mr. Poilièvre, who has spent most of his political career at a boiling point, appears to have frozen. And while Mr. Trudeau is no Dorothy, it's not hard to imagine Mr. Poilièvre as the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz, insofar as you can almost hear him screaming in rage and disbelief, "I'm melting!" Mr. Poilièvre has, in recent years, displayed a deeply personal obsession with Mr. Trudeau, one that became increasingly childish and sinister. It always reminded me of Sideshow Bob's fixation with Bart Simpson. Even in a cartoon, and in virtually any world besides politics today, such all-consuming hatred would be deemed pathologic, and a person might find himself sitting across from someone like Donald Winnicott, being asked if they see their enemy's face in the ink blots. Now, deprived of the object of his obsession, Mr. Poilièvre seems to be misfiring. You can almost hear him pitching focus groups. Carnivore Carney? What about Carnival Carney? Can we find out if he's ever been to Carnegie Hall? Patriotic Canadians are uniting in defense of their country at the threat posed by Donald Trump, but Mr. Poilièvre still seems desperate to convince us that we should be focusing on calls coming from inside the House. For many people, Mr. Poilièvre simply embodies the zeitgeist of a broader global me-first movement. One key element of that zeitgeist is destrudo. Destrudo is a term from Freudian psychology. It is simply the death instinct. The impulse to conquer, vanish, and destroy. Destrudo is volcanic, acerbic, hostile. It can be directed at another country or squarely at a person. Everyone has destrudo. Like all impulses, it needs counterweight to be controlled. Nothing good is ever built by destrudo, but it is very efficient at burning things we love to the ground. The other day, I asked my husband if he'd ever heard of it. Destroy Trudeau? He said. My jaw dropped. Speaking it out loud, I heard a double entendre so perfect it wouldn't be believable as a plotline in a B movie. Destrudo. Now, you have to see it. Destrudo is spelt, the psychological term, Destrudo.
Mhm.
But if you make it Destrudeao,
Yeah. AU.
yes.
E.
Yeah.
DEAU. Yeah. I get it here. I got to get a third coffee.
Yes, Justin Trudeau is finished, done, symbolically destroyed. But in another cinematic twist, he leaves on the heels of the two best high-stakes addresses of his life. In his final act, Mr. Trudeau reminded us powerfully of who we are as Canadians and who we aspire to be. And that's the crux of it. Pierre Poilièvre's paradox and his pesky problem, one he is scrambling to solve, but that may be fundamentally out of his reach. This moment has left an opening for a new leader to sneak by him, one who can speak not just to our bitter grievances, but to our aspirations and dreams, who can organize not our worst demons, but our better angels. There's a reason the wartime directive is keep calm and carry on, and not freak out and smash things. We won't get through the years ahead without a prime minister who models emotional discipline and gives us the faith that we can carry on, while we also care for and help each other. We need someone who can unite and inspire. I don't think that person is Mr. Poilièvre. I think he can only incite. There is no baby without a mother, no Sideshow Bob without a Bart, and no Pierre without a Justin. It was all des Trudeau. And Mr. Trudeau has left the building. I guess that's why Pierre Poilièvre seems, well, broken.
Yeah. Makes sense.
The end. So beautifully written.
Well, that was from Luc Lebrun.
No, That was from Jillian Horton.
Oh, okay.
This was a special to the Globe and Mail, so she's not a usual columnist. Physician and author of We Are All Perfectly Fine, a memoir of love, medicine, and healing. Probably a good book, based on this writing. And again, fits in with the Theomedakis cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
There's no Pierre without Justin. Please don't go. And maybe that's why they're calling Mark Carney sneaky, because he just snuck by them and took the lead. Maybe. Anyway, Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
We do. I just want to read one tweet for you
Oh,
from
please do.
7:27 p.m. yesterday from Jagmeet Singh
Oh,
to Poilièvre's friends. Lay off Carney's kid. Stop being a bunch of bullies and jerks. It's not okay.
boom. This is what Jagmeet Singh does best.
Yeah.
Same thing when he was talking to the kids of Canada after the blackface thing. This is the Jagmeet Singh. Why can't this guy show up every day? If he spoke like this every day about every subject, he'd be leading. There is a real person in there somewhere. We've seen glimpses. It's just entirely inconsistent. We need better.
And of course, who responds to Jagmeet?
Oh, let me guess.
Viva Frey.
Of course.
I don't even know if I want to read this.
Don't.
No,
He's
I don't
not
want to
worth
read
it.
it. Oh, no.
He gets enough.
No, I'm not giving him any press.
All
He's
you
a
need to
terrible
say,
human being.
all you need to say is their name, and you know.
Yeah, just a terrible human being. He and his wannabe sycophant Mark Slappy wants to be Viva Frey.
Yeah, that's that goes to I think it was a kid that maybe posted it, a famous expression that a lot of mothers used back in the day. Don't tell me what you're doing. Tell me who you're with. I'll know what you're doing. It's like, all you need to tell me is that Viva Frey responded, I have an idea. Yeah, it's something that doesn't bear repeating because it has absolutely nothing of worth or value to society.
So,
I guess?
you know how we're trying to buy Canadian, right? Right now we're
Right.
buying Canadian. Let's support Canadian. Well, here's a Canadian company that will not get my support ever. The
Okay.
Resistance Coffee Company. From their Twitter bio, resist evil, do good. Fueling the resistance with fresh roasted specialty coffee. Proudly Canadian, anti-commie, faith, family, and freedom. And their response to Jagmeet Singh, because of you, we have an unelected banker trying to get Canada to join a European globalist cabal. That's not
How?
okay.
How because of him? What did Jagmeet, I mean, other than rip up the deal, but what did Jagmeet Singh do? He's not the one who didn't want to resign on the day of the fall economic statement. What did... Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's really weird. Before we go, one little moment, 2 moments of Canadians making us proud. And we are going to talk about Canadians speed skaters, because over the weekend, the long track world championships took place. Long track speed skating. This is from the Canada Olympic Committee. Team Canada athletes had an incredible weekend as several world championships were in the spotlight. The speed skaters led the charge, collecting 10 medals, including 6 gold at the ISU World Short Track Speed Skating Championships. Sorry, short track, not long track. While their long track compatriots stood on 4 podiums at the ISU World Single Distance Championships. Plus, Team Homan had a successful kickoff to their campaign at the Women's World Curling Championships. Team Homan has won all their matches except for one so far. But in short track speed skating, Canada had one of its best showings ever at the 2025 International Skating Union World Short Track Speed Skating Championships in Beijing, concluding the weekend with 6 world titles and a total of 10 medals across all 9 events. It is the country's largest medal haul since they reached the podium 10 times in 1996, while their 6 gold medals were the most since 1994 when Canadians won 7. And I would like you to understand that since 1994, there are a whole whack of other nations who are into short track and a whole greater amount of parity. So this achievement now is even more spectacular. Canada won gold in all 4 men's events.
Wow.
This season's overall Crystal Globe champion, William Danjidou, secured his 2nd career world title, taking the victory in the 1,500 meters. In the same arena where he won 3 Olympic gold medals during Beijing 2022, Stephen Dubois earned his first world title in the 500 meter. Both men shared the podium in the 1,000 meter, with Dubois taking the gold by the smallest of margins over Danjidou. They joined forces with Félix Roussel and Maxime Lahoun to dominate the final of the men's 5,000 meter relay, leading the 45-lap race from start to finish. Quote, "This is all pretty crazy. There are really no other words," said Dubois. "We were hoping for some good results and we knew we had a shot in every distance, but for us to win literally everything we touched on the ice this weekend is surreal. We are the strongest team and we showed it. It feels good to end the year on such a good note." The lone gold in the women's event came in the 3,000 meter relay by Kim Boutin, Florence Brunel, Ricky Doak, and Courtney Sarrault. They overtook Poland with 3 laps remaining. Sarrault earned a pair of silver medals in the 1,000 meter and 1,500 meter to bring her career total to 5 individual world championship podiums. Doak won her first career world championship medal by taking silver in the 500 meters. Canada swept the relay events by also taking gold in the 2,000 meter mixed relay. Prudel, Boutin, Dubois, and Danjidou raced in the final and earned Canada's first world championship medal in the event since it was added to the program in 2023. In long track speed skating, Canada left its mark at the ISU World Speed Skating Single Distance Championships in Hamar, Norway. Now, again, there are 2 places that you want to win medals in speed skating. One is the Netherlands, the other one is Norway. When you win them there, it's a big deal. Ivani Blondin jumped onto the podium for the 3rd time over the weekend after claiming silver in the women's mass start final. It's her 8th career world championship medal in the event. The only other individual medal came from Connor Howe, who delivered a perfect 1,500 meter race when it counted most, securing bronze for his first career individual world championship medal. On Friday, Blondin was part of Canada's bronze medal in the women's team pursuit along Valérie Baltet and Isabelle Weiderman. That trio won Olympic gold in 2022, followed by a world title in 2023 and world silver medal last year. The day before, Blondin had joined forces with Brooklyn McDougall and Béatrice Lamarche to capture silver in the women's team sprint. There are a few near-podium performances, including a 4th place finish by Laurent Dubreuil in the men's 500. He was just 0.01 seconds back of the bronze medal time.
Wow.
Dubreuil then finished 5th in the 1,000 meter, despite a fierce effort and strong final push. Weideman came just 1.78 seconds shy of the podium in the women's 5,000 meter, finishing 4th. Baltet placed 6th in the women's 3,000, while Ted Jan Blomen was 6th in the men's 10,000 meter. The other thing going on right now, we talked about it very briefly when they announced the team and the chef de mission, but the World Special Olympics Games are happening in Torino, Italy, Turin. And Team Canada is rocking it. Absolutely rocking it. Making us very, very proud. Now, Team Canada makes us proud by showing up and participating and giving all their heart. But then, and this, I do not have the most recent update, but as of March 14th, which is a few days ago, and I think that was only like 2 or 3 days in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, this was the first day. No, yeah, 2 days in. 15 gold medals, 19 silver medals, and 16 bronze medals from our Special Olympians in just 2 days.
Cool.
Way to go. That's how you represent. We are proud of all our athletes. They're such great ambassadors.
We just hit another milestone.
Oh, we did?
Yeah. I'll put this on the screen for you.
Okay. Ooh, 13,800 subscribers.
Yeah.
Yay! And I think we just crossed the 2,000 on our Blue Sky Beaver Lodge account now.
Oh, cool.
And I have the most updated numbers actually here. So far at the Special Olympics, Team Canada has 116 medals.
Wow.
39 gold, 35 silver, 42 bronze.
Nicely done.
Very, very well done. See, we like to end on good news. Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
We do indeed, sir. We do indeed.
All right. Kids and Cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. I had a particularly good time today. I hope you did too. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us.
And is Saturday? Are we podcasting?
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure.
Absolutely.
So podcast is Saturday, just to give the heads up to everybody.
Yeah. I think this might be the most heads up we've given.
Yes.
Yes.
It's Tuesday.
Yes.
We're letting you know a few days in advance. We'll have a podcast on Saturday.
Woo! Oh, that's so much fun. I love Podcast Day. They make me so happy. All right. And if you would like to support us, for example, by not missing an episode when it comes down through podcast form, well, you don't have to, thanks to the Ray Girl, who sponsors our pod page. Podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. And I'm sure Mr. Grizzly will make the QR code appear any second now. Around right under my chin somehow. If you go there, see, like magic. If you go there and click subscribe when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it comes directly to you. Now, if you would like to support us in other ways, Kids and Cubs, Kit Elaine and Kit Cassie have a wonderful suggestion for you. Surf on down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page, like 13,800 of you already have. And hey, we have some buttons. Come on and loosen up our buttons. Click them, lick them, flick them. It makes us happy. And you get to join the damn fam. Really, really good people. Now, if you would like to support us in yet another way, let's say financially, because we do incur some costs to bring the show to you, and we hope that you like and support what we do, and you get a lot out of it and would like to encourage us to do more. Well, if that is an option for you, well, hey, we like to help. We have the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund on our coffee page, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver. If you go there, it's really our tip jar. But if you like what we do and like to support us, just leave a little coinage in there. Buy Mr. Grizzly a nice cup of coffee, or maybe a delayed St. Patty's Day Guinness. Right? You can always celebrate late. That's okay. Or maybe your favorite beaver. Spring is coming and I need to maintain my levels, so I might need a little more hot chocolate. So, hey, help us out. Thank you so much for your generosity. And I mentioned yesterday that I would mention a kit that had helped us. I got it wrong. I thought it was Kit Wendy, but I was wrong. It is Kit Melanie, who says, "Thank you for your continued insightful comments and views on all things during your daily pods. Especially appreciated Mr. Beaver's recent appearance on the O Show with Laura. Beaver and Grizzly are both greatly valued in my world. Keep up the good work of doing democracy. Big virtual hugs. Your Alberta friend." Melody, we have friends in Alberta.
We have a lot of friends in Alberta.
Yes. Okay, but we have more friends in Alberta. You can't have too many Alberta friends.
No, can't have
We
too
like
many friends.
Saskatchewan friends too, and Manitoba friends, and BC friends. We like friends from all over. Really, we just like friends. We want to collect them all. Thank you so much, Kit Melanie, for your support and encouragement, and those really, really kind words. They really do mean a lot to us. Thank you. Thank you. And if you would like to be like Kit Melanie, well, then, of course, like we said, our coffee page. So thank you for all of your support. Now, if you're not able to support us financially, please do not worry, because the gift of your participation and the gift of your attention are the ones that mean the most to us. And we really, really, really actually sincerely want to hear from you. So write to us, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. If you've got ideas for stories, if you people that you would like us to have conversations with if we're able to get them, anything like that. Some things you think we could do better, some things that you like that we're doing and you want us to do more of, let us know. All right. truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com is their email address for that. And if you would like to make a donation to us that doesn't go through the CEO Tech Bros, that doesn't support the Shopifys and PayPal people and all that type of stuff, and you want to make a transaction that's 100% Canadian, just do it through your bank, through a direct transfer, also at truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. It's 100% Canadian. And the bonus part is that we actually get 100% of your donation as well. So there you go. It's just some advised shopping. Right now, we also, if you want to write to us, you can reach us at the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge, at True Eager, at the Bad Place on the Jitter, at True Eager, on our original page on Facebook since 2011, True North Eager Beaver, or if you're listening on YouTube, well, right down here, right in the comment section, just leave a little something. We do read everything, even though we're not able to get back to everyone, and all of your comments do make the show better. Because democracy is something that you do. Remember, there's a Quebec Liberal leadership race coming up. There's also a progressive conservative leadership vote coming up in Manitoba, and a by-election coming up in Manitoba as well. So for a provincial by-election. So if you are looking at any of that, please look at your candidates, find out about the issues. If there's someone you support, get involved. All right? Democracy is something that you do. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom for the kids and cubs?
Not really, actually. I'm just kind of blanked and blobbed this morning. I do have an image I want to share for you though, but I think you'll get a kick into this. This is it's written in both official languages.
Cool.
And this was posted yesterday morning. Gotta love a Monday morning at Canadian Tire. Ça fait du bien un lundi matin au Canadian Tire. From the former Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau.
I love it.
That was pretty funny. Yeah. I thought that was pretty funny. He looks younger already.
You know what? There have been some pictures. I don't think I can draw it up really quickly, but they've seen some pictures like Justin Trudeau leaving with the seat. Mm-hmm. By the way, kids and cubs, just so you know, he didn't steal the seat, and it's not the actual seat. It's a replica, and every MP is allowed the opportunity to buy a replica of their seat. So don't think he stole anything. But there was another one where he was in a Governor General Mary Simon's office. And he seemed to be looking out a window, and she seemed to be coming to put her hand on his back, and that struck me as there was maybe not a moment in that 10-year, well, actually, not counting the dissolution of his marriage, but professionally, there's probably not a moment in his career that felt lonelier than that one.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
At that moment. It's a tough job.
It is.
Okay. Like them or loathe them, the people who serve as Prime Minister in Canada take on a very, very tough job that comes with very little thanks.
Well, and look, we said it before. I said it during this show, and I'm going to say it again right now. We do not, under any circumstances, put up for debate or question the hours and time that the opposition leader, Pierre Poilièvre, puts into his job.
Or any politician for that matter.
Or any politician.
Just about Pierre.
They work 18, 20 hours a day sometimes.
And sacrifice a lot.
They do. And they sacrifice a hell of a lot. So, as much as I loathe and despise Pierre Poilièvre as a human being, and I've never met him, but I don't need to because I've seen everything there is to see about him. He is exactly who he presents himself to be. I have it on very good authority by people who went to high school and university with him. He is exactly who you see, and he hasn't changed a day since he was about 14. But I do not call into question his work ethic. Ever. And that's that.
Yeah. All right. With that, Miss Grizzly, please cue the cock and we'll have just a brief Easter egg because I actually found the photos.
I have another Easter egg too, so we'll be right back.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.
You have something, sir?
Yes, I believe that it is sent. If it didn't stay stuck in my
I've got
outbox.
it. Yeah, just a second here. Let me just load them up. There are two photos, are there? Yeah, there's one, and there's the other
One has two photos in it.
Yeah, I'll just blow that up here. And here's the first one. It's on a Twitter page, so there's some text. Here's the first image. Mary Simon's coming to, looks like she's consoling him, I would assume, the Governor General. Yeah. And here he is. It's like he's all packed up and moved out of the cottage.
Yeah.
And then here is an interesting shot by Adam Scotty, the photographer. You can see he's heading up the stairs, and I don't know if that's portrait is Pierre Trudeau or Laurier. It is Trudeau. It's hard to tell, but it's an interesting juxtaposition for sure.
Yeah. So it's his father. So yeah, he's going up the stairs, and it's the reflection of him climbing the stairs caught in the glass of the photo.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. I know. Photography can tell quite a story.
It can indeed. Well, I have something I wanted to share with you. There it is. I just had to look for it again. I'm going to share this because it's, it's both informative, a little bit of promotion, a little shameless self-promotion, but it's all about something coming up in the near future. And why did it do that? I don't know why it did that.
Oh.
Let's try that again. Here we go.
Good day. How's it going, eh? So, sitting here in the Great White North, where it's kind of cold because, it's still like winter, at least until March 21st. And then, it'll be springtime. And then at that point, then, the snow will melt and it'll be a little bit warmer and we can do some stuff, eh? So, what I'm thinking of doing, because of all this craziness with that there fella down below the 49th parallel, that would be the fella with the strange haircut there, the weird, it doesn't quite look like hair, but you know what I mean. So anyway, in light of him being all weird and stuff, so what I want to do, so what I'm thinking is, so why don't we invite some of our American friends up here to the Great White North, eh? So if you're around on, say, I don't know, what's a good day to pick? Let me just check the old calendar here, eh? Gotta see what's worthwhile, because, you can't just come up on any old weekend. We gotta plan it out. Make sure you got, time, eh? I got a bit of a cough there. Woo! It's still kind of chilly out, eh? So let's see. How about we say, we got the May long weekend, eh? That'd be a beauty. How about that? May long weekend? Well, maybe June. You know what we could do, eh? So we do this thing called the Mental Health Walk. And the Mental Health Walk is like when we get together here in Ottawa and we go for a little walk around the city, downtown here in the downtown where I live. And yes, I'll tell you this, what we do is we go for a 5K walk and we talk about mental health. called the men's mental health walk because men's don't really get a lot of mental health support. So this is what we figured we'd do. So it's the Saturday before Father's Day. So hey, if you're around, why don't you join us? We can raise some money, raise some awareness, and then we'll sit in the pub, have a pint, and do a pubcast. It'd be a good time. Trust me. I know what I'm talking about, eh? After all, Canadians got to have ourselves a good pint every now and then. And this is a good one here. Oh, that's a local one. That's from, what's the name of that title? Oh, yeah. Flora Hall. It's a Flora Hall. It's an English bitter. It's a nice pint. It's a good one. So yeah, come on out, eh? It'll be fun. Make it out if you can. So that's the Saturday before Father's Day, which what day is that? Let's check on the old the Googler here. We'll put it in the old Googler on the shoe phone. If you're old enough to know what a shoe phone is, you'll know what I'm talking about, eh? So I think that's when is Father? So that would be June 14th, eh? Yeah, June 14th. Shouldn't be too hot, but it should be pretty good, eh? So come on out. Hope to see you. Good time, eh?
Little shameless self-promotion for the mental health walk. I thought,
Very well
let's
done,
start
sir.
promoting it now. We have some work to get underway, and but why not start promoting it now? So that's it for
We're
me.
doing it again.
I'll see
All
you
right.
soon.
Love.